All right, guys, we've got some big Nintendo Switch 2 updates when it comes to interesting games that are coming out and huge updates with Level 5. They had an event in the morning and there was some good things and there was a lot of bad things. So we're going to go over some big updates when it comes to DecaPolice, Professor Layton, and more. But before we continue on, we are giving away a Nintendo Switch 2. All you have to do to enter is hit that subscribe button if you aren't already subscribed and drop a comment below. We are giving away a Nintendo Switch 2 once we hit 150,000 subscribers, and it will be random. So the more that you actually comment and interact, the better chance that you have to win. Hit that like button, click that notification bell, and let's go ahead and jump right back into it. Let's start off with Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy. That has been rated for the Nintendo Switch 2 in Taiwan. It's currently playable on the Nintendo Switch Cloud only. So it looks like a native version is coming. So the Taiwan Digital Game Rating Committee has rated a Switch 2 version of Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy. Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy first launched for the PlayStation 5, Xbox Series, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Nintendo Switch 1 via cloud, and PC via Steam and Epic Game Store on October 26, 2021. Once again, Switch version though is cloud only, which makes it pretty much a no-go for so many people out there because the cloud games on Switch 1, they're just not necessarily great for many people out there. Now, the key features for those who don't remember this game lead with the Guardians of the Galaxy, but you play just as Star-Lord, and he has a bunch of interesting combat options and styles with his element blasters, and of course his jet boot powered drop kicks to tag team beatdowns. It's actually a solid game with a good story that ultimately just didn't sell as well as Square Enix or as well as maybe people thought that it could sell. We've got an all new story as well with this one. It doesn't go off of like a previous story. And of course you can see the Guardians of the Galaxy in all of their glory when it comes to it. So it's actually not a bad game, reviewed well. Just once again, didn't do as well as maybe they would have thought that it would have done, but it's still a good game. So hopefully it does come over to the Nintendo Switch 2. I think it's a solid title. I actually purchased it on, I think, Xbox Series or Xbox One or something like that. I know I purchased it on there at some point, so it is a game that is worth owning, at least at this point. Now we'll see how much it costs and we'll see exactly the quality of it and of course all of that, because right now it's just a rating, but usually when there is a Taiwan rating for this, it's coming at some point because the publishers and developers had to actually put in money for that rating, and a lot of games leak in this type of way. And once again, they had a cloud version on the Nintendo Switch 1, so I'm pretty sure that they want to have it on the Nintendo Switch 2 as well. So what do you guys think about Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy coming over to the Nintendo Switch 2 and this new rating? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, let's talk about the Level 5 Vision event, which is essentially their Level 5 Direct for big games. If you've played titles like Ni no Kuni, Level 5, they make that. Professor Layton, they also make that. DecaPolice, they make that. Inazuma 11, and there was their own version of a Direct that went down, and I woke up and I streamed the event, and I'm actually somewhat regretting that I did, because the game that I was really looking forward to, that's been in development now for multiple years, they revealed it 3 years ago, was DecaPolice. And while we did get an update on it, it was almost like a non-update update or a announcement of an announcement to stay tuned for something later. They really didn't show extra footage or anything new. I think they have like a new logo, which was kind of cool, and maybe I need to analyze a bit more of what they did show, but we didn't really get much from this, and this is probably going to be now a 2027 or later game. I'm guessing 2027. There's an anime coming, so we'll see what shape and form this game takes when it gets more information, but it looks like the scope and scale from when we first saw that trailer at the Nintendo Direct in 2023, then even the demos that we got and the trailers after that, it looks like it's going to take a very different shape from where it was before. Same characters, same concept, same things that they're doing, but it looks like they're going to be adding a lot more to it based off of just the vibe that I got from that small little teaser thing that they had. They also had Holy Horror Mansion, which is the spiritual successor to Yokai Watch. There wasn't really much on that, although they did show us some more like gameplay or whatever that's going to be. So there was that, but that's still a ways off according to them as well. So there really wasn't much when it comes to that. Now, there was a lot of mobile games, so if you want to hear about the mobile games, you guys can check it out. They have all the mobile stuff that they added in there. But the big thing when it comes to Switch 2, at least, and consoles, is that they have a new Professor Layton trailer and a bunch of information. It's still set for 2026, so we'll talk about that in just a bit. But I wanted to go over some of the other things first, and that is Inazuma 11 Victory Road. There is a real on-cart Nintendo Switch 2 edition launching physically on June 11th in Japan, and it includes all of the updates plus the Rising Bond DLC. So that's actually nice because it was just digital beforehand, and now we have a real on-cart physical. And of course with Switch 2, it is region free for most people. I know in Japan they have a Japanese language only model, but here in the US, if you do import that Japanese version, just like Fantasy Life, it'll be able to play in English on your system or play in whatever language that's supported on your system wherever you are. So that's actually pretty cool. One of the best things about the Nintendo Switch 2, the region locking stuff is done. I know Switch 1 they didn't do it, but Nintendo does sometimes do it when it comes to their systems. So it's good to see that Inazuma 11 is getting a real physical release on-cart version. I'm pretty sure the Fantasy Life on-cart version did good, so that gave them confidence. Plus the sales of Inazuma 11 were probably good enough to give them the confidence to pay for the cart version of this. So that's always awesome to see more on-cart physical games. Now the next big thing here was Snack World Reloaded. That has been announced for the PlayStation 5, Nintendo Switch 2, and PC. This is essentially a remake of Snack World the Dungeon Crawl Gold, or Snack World Chajars, that game. They're remaking it, they're bringing it to consoles, and it actually looks pretty good, especially compared to the original game, which was, I think, a 3DS game. Then it was released or ported to the Nintendo Switch 1, and now at this point it is being remade for the Nintendo Switch 2, PlayStation 5, and PC. So that was a very good announcement as well. It's a fun game with a lot of content and combat options. So it does say, following the latest entry in the Fantasy Life series, we're also working on a remake of Snack World the Dungeon Crawl Gold. Level 5 CEO Akihiro Hino said during the recent Level 5 Vision 2026 craftsmanship event, we've made major updates to the gameplay, controls, and story to the point to where it almost feels like a brand new game. Enhanced graphics bring the world to life like a beautifully crafted diorama. Enjoy refined gameplay and controls with a brand new mode planned that will let you step into the role of Chup, the anime's protagonist. So definitely good there. So once again, there was not a lot of good things. There was a lot of mobile and some other stuff, not updates on things that we wanted, like DecaPolice, for example. But at the same time, they did have some good console stuff with Inazuma 11 Physical Edition and Snack World Reloaded, which once again is looking pretty good. Now, the big ending to what they were talking about here was Professor Layton and the new world of Steam. They added in new platforms, PlayStation 5 and PC. Definitely good, and we have a confirmed late 2026 release, plus a look at new puzzles and a bunch of information on the voice cast. This is looking like it's going to be an elite Professor Layton experience. So, puzzle-filled fantasy adventure game Professor Layton and the new world of Steam will launch for the PlayStation 5 and PC via Steam, alongside the previously announced Nintendo Switch 2 and Nintendo Switch 1 versions toward the end of 2026. A bit more information on the game. 1 year after the events of Professor Layton and the Unwound Future, a new story begins. The setting is Steam Bison, a town in America, a wondrous new world that has surpassed even London in its rapid development, all powered by revolutionary Steam technology. A mysterious incident in Steam Bison soon draws Professor Layton and Luke into their next great adventure. So it supports a bunch of languages. It supports obviously those systems that we talked about there. They've got new features like coin radar, world map, updated movement, puzzles that help the town grow, new companion characters, cutscenes in full 3D, and mouse support but not for the Nintendo Switch 1. Looks like Switch 2 and other platforms will get that. We've also got some game features, puzzles meet invention, solve puzzles to progress through the story, interactive puzzle solving, a town fueled by invention, of course set in America. The town hides a great mystery, Layton and Luke reunite, and a host of unique characters. The puzzles are done by QuizKnock, the most puzzles in series history, puzzle hints as well, hint coins, touch controls, and memo for puzzle solving. So they're pretty much trying to make this to where if you don't like puzzles as well, you can play this game. Because I'm not a big puzzle game person, but with some of these different things in here with hints and interactive puzzles, along with great cutscenes, town building mechanics, and things along that nature, I think that this is going to be one of the best Professor Layton games. And of course, you've got PlayStation 5 support now, you've got Steam support, you've got Switch 1, you've got Switch 2, so a plethora of platforms to pick from. So definitely great. They also had a bunch of the voice actor stuff, so if you want to check out all the voice actor stuff, the Japanese cast, check that out on Gematsu. They've got some theme song stuff. Looks like it's going to be a big event for them. So that's really what's taking, I would say, the time and effort for 2026 as they build out some of their other category and catalog with like DecaPolice and Holy Horror Mansion. So awesome. If you're a Professor Layton fan, and this trailer, or more like this event, maybe got me more leaning towards to pick this one up. So based off what they've seen here, it looks really sharp and clean. Switch 2, this is like a perfect kind of puzzle game. Maybe it'll come out during NFL season and you can kind of solve the puzzles and play it during different games, for me at least. So I think this can be pretty good so far from what they've shown. So that was a highlight of the event. But we have to talk about the good and we have to talk about the bad. And the bad was what is going on with DecaPolice. This game has taken so long at this point to come out, and I understand this is a massive game. This is a much bigger scope and scale of a game than when they first showed it off on the Nintendo Switch 1 in early 2023, and I get that. But I do think that after 3 years, after multiple, what seems like maybe internal delays, after adding in so many different things, I think it would have been a good time to at least get us a new trailer with some gameplay on what you're going to be doing. Now, I understand that the game is still in development, they're changing things, and they want to maybe have a re-reveal, a grand re-reveal for the gameplay that more aligns with maybe what they're doing with the anime, if that's still going to be a thing, and what the gameplay is going to shape up to be. Because what we've heard from this game with DecaPolice is that it's changed from even when they showed it off, not only the first time, but then the second time when they kind of retooled the combat system. So it's even changed from then. So I understand them wanting to maybe hold back a bit, but I still feel that they should have at least showed a new cutscene trailer or something, because all they showed was like a new logo and just little things like a teaser-ish type of thing. I think there should have been a bit more with the game, and I think that would have satisfied maybe more. Now, obviously, you're not going to be able to satisfy everybody because people were maybe expecting a 2026 release. I know I stated that it could be 2026 based off of them saying, hey, we're doing an anime, look forward to more information. So we're thinking, okay, that means it was announced in 2023, so it'll be ready maybe in 2026. Now that they're saying wait for more, but now that's 2026. Now they're saying, well, wait for more information. And now with Professor Layton pretty much getting a lot of the spotlight for 2026, the mobile version of Fantasy Life I think that really they're going to hold out with those two games and their previous catalog of like Inazuma 11, Switch 2 edition of the game physical on cart. And they're going to really kind of go in 2027, maybe with the anime and with the game. And it's going to look significantly different than what we saw before. I'm guessing they have refined so many different things with the game because they talked about improving the scope and scale, and it does seem like they just want to make sure that they get this one right. So there were some people in my chat saying that they hope that the budget for this game isn't ballooning to where it gets out of control. But I can say safely, with the information that I know, yes, it does seem like the budget is just getting higher and higher, especially if you think about this game and what they're doing. Clearly, it's a large-scale production game for level 5's standards, and on top of that, they announced this in 2023. So the game was probably in development for at least a year and a half or so. So we're looking at 2021 or 2022. We're now in 2026, and it's going to be 2027 probably before this game is released. So that is a number of years in development, and that is a lot of money being spent. Now, we'll see, once again, maybe because it's taken a bit more time, because Level 5 is a smaller independent company that does bigger games for companies out there like Bandai Namco with Ni no Kuni, but at the end of the day, they're like a larger indie or more pronounced indie development company out there. So I do think that they don't have the most resources, and this is not a game that has a big publisher like Nintendo or something. So I think that's why it's just taking, just because all the stuff that you have to put into a game, their type of games, what people are expecting. So while I'm upset a bit that they didn't have a better trailer for us, and it looks like it's going to be 2027, I do have a feeling that this game is going to launch, and it's going to be fantastic when they finally do get it out. So we're going to have to wait, but I'm guessing that the waiting is going to be worth it, because it does seem like the style and the sleekness and what they're doing is going to be great. So I would say somewhat of an L level 5 vision event, but at the same time, there was some good stuff also shown, especially with Professor Layton. So what do you guys think about everything that we talked about here? A lot of stuff from Level 5 to Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy for Switch 2. Let me know in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell, and check out my other Nintendo Switch 2 RPG content and more right here on screen. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you guys for the next one. Peace.